Act 2, Scene 2. So this is the scene in which the murder will take place, and Lady Macbeth is more than ready for the task. It is obviously happening near Duncan's room. We're meeting with Lady Macbeth first. She's feeling heady and emboldened by having drugged the guards, and she is almost excited about the ensuing death of the king. Lady Macbeth. That which hath made them drunk hath made me bold. So I have become powerful from what has made them drunk and, the guards, and has made them fall asleep. It's actually made me bold. What hath quenched them hath given me fire. Hark, peace. It is the owl that shrieked, the fatal bellman, which gives the sternest good night. So again, another reference to animals as we've seen throughout. So the owl is shrieking. There's something untoward going on, and the owl is reflecting that. But of course, to her, he's just a fatal bellman. He is about it. The doors are open, and the surfeited grooms do mock their charge with snores. So the grooms are fast asleep, and they mock their charge, like what they are in charge of is being mocked by the fact that they are snoring with sleep outside. I have drugged their possets, that death and nature do contend about them, whether they live or die. So a real malicious ruthlessness here. She doesn't care about the guards, whether they live or die. They are perfect for framing, against the murder and for giving them the alibi that they need. Enters Macbeth. Macbeth says, "Who's there, Watto?" Lady Macbeth, "Alack, I am afraid they have wakened, and 'tis not done. The attempt and not the deed confounds us. Hark, I laid their daggers ready. He could not miss them." So he's saying, Jesus, like Macbeth couldn't have missed the daggers I've left out for him, could he? Had he not resembled my father as he slept, I'd have done it. Highlight that. Had he not resembled my father as he slept, I'd have done it. There is a shard of humanity there. If he hadn't looked like my father, I would have done it myself. So there is humanity in Lady Macbeth that is really, really important for later. My husband? Macbeth enters. I have done the deed. Didst thou hear a noise? I heard an owl scream and the crickets cry. Did not you speak? Macbeth says. When? Well, now. As I descended? Aye. Macbeth. Hark, who lies in the second chamber? Donalbain. Macbeth. This is a sorry night, his wife. A foolish thought to say a sorry night. So she's chastising him there, mark that. She's getting in there for the kill straight away. He has committed this heinous crime. He's not being allowed 1 minute of remorse. He is being told to get over it. Macbeth. There's one did laugh in his sleep, and one cried murder, that they did wake each other. I stood and heard them, but they did say their prayers and address them again to sleep. So Donalbain, who is sleeping next door to the king, apparently woke or shouted out murder in his sleep but fell asleep again. So all this kind of like ominous, eerie, goings on. He doesn't know that his father has been killed next door, but Macbeth is saying, they slept and they woke briefly and they said their prayers and they went back, but I found myself not being able to say amen with them. The two are lodged together, Lady Macbeth says. Well, one cried, God bless us, and amen the other. And as they seen me, with hangman's hands, listening their fear, I could not say amen. When they did say, God bless us all. So I couldn't bring myself to use the word amen because I have committed a crime against God and against Scotland, and I am unholy. Lady Macbeth. Consider it not so deeply. So just don't think about it. Get over it. Just don't worry about it. Macbeth. But whereforth could I pronounce amen? I had the most need of blessing, and amen stuck in my throat, meaning I couldn't bring myself to say amen, even though I am the one who was most in need of the word. Lady Macbeth. These deeds must not be thought after these ways. so it will make us mad. So she says, look, it's done now. You can't be thinking about it. Don't overthink it. The deed is done. We need to move on. So she is extremely calculated here, and she's absolutely in control. Now, we've talked about their partnership, but she is the one absolutely in charge at this moment. He is beneath her at this moment, and she is rolling out what they must do next. Methought I heard a voice cry, sleep no more. Macbeth doth murder sleep, the innocent sleep that knits up the ravel sleep of care, the death of each day's life, sore labour's bath, balm of hearts, great nature's second course, chief nourishers in life's feast. So there's this idea that sleep has been murdered, that sleep will never come again to Macbeth. Now, that's a very important theme for later on for both characters, that they have destroyed their own. Sleep is another word for rest or peace of mind. And he is saying now, I have killed that. And sleep is a word for peace, and I have killed the peace that existed in Scotland when we had this fine king at the helm. I have severed all of this, and I will not sleep anymore. But the important quote there is, sleep no more. Macbeth does murder sleep, innocent sleep. And Lady Macbeth says, like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Macbeth, still it cried, and he's hearing voices, and again there's this element of the supernatural. Does he hear these voices saying sleep no more? Are they in his head? Are they on the stage? Is it the witches? It's very, very, very creepy and eerie and disconcerting for the audience. Still it cried, sleep no more. To all the house, Glamis hath murder sleep, and therefore Cawdor shall sleep no more. Macbeth shall sleep no more. So Macbeth is going through a stage here of immediate remorse, knowing the full gravity of what he has done to his own king and to his country. And he is saying, we will never sleep again after this. There will never be peace in my mind again. Which is a prophecy for, what is to come. Because you cannot commit a crime like this and just get clean away with it. Lady Macbeth. Who was it that just cried, why, worthy Thane, do you unbend your noble strength to think such brain sickly of things? So why are you unbending your noble brain with this? We need to move on. She is cold and callous in this moment and saying, we've got to move on, all right? Go get some water and wash this filthy witness from your hands. So there's this theme of water and washing blood away is very important as well. And she's saying, go and wash this filthy witness, the blood on your hands, from you. Why did you bring these daggers from the place? So now she's livid. She sees suddenly that he brings and has in his hands the daggers. These were the daggers they were supposed to frame the guards with. They must lie there. Go carry them and smear the sleepy grooms with blood. So get back to your post. Smear the guards. This is a massive part of the plan that you've messed up. Why did you bring the evidence with you? But of course, Macbeth is completely disconcerted and shocked and frozen, I suppose, with what he has done, and he is refusing to go back. This is important because remember earlier in the scene, Lady Macbeth said, had he not resembled my father, I'd have done it. So there's a humanity in her, but it's very, very important that she's going to now have to go back and bear witness to her own part in this crime. Macbeth says, I'll go no more. I am afraid to think what I have done and look on it again. I dare not, so I can't go back there. Lady Macbeth, infirm of purpose. You are infirm. You are pathetic and paltry to me. Oh, she's very good at emasculating him here. You'll recall the emasculating scene from Act 1, Scene 5. This is more of the same. You are infirm of purpose. Give me the daggers. The sleeping and the dead are but as pictures. 'Tis the eye of childhood that fears a painted devil. So you're being childish here. I am going to go back and do this to finish off what you have started. If he do bleed, I'll gild the faces of the grooms withal. for it must seem their guilt. So if he's bleeding, I will gild the faces of the chamberlains outside and make sure they look like the guilty party. And she exits. So again, a fearsome partner to Macbeth at this moment, telling him, get your hands cleaned, I will deal with this. And she exits. There's a knock within. It's a knocking at the door, but of course Macbeth is so freaked out he doesn't know if it's a real knock or a knock inside his head or a knock from heaven or a knock from hell. He really is just very, very, very shocked by what's happened, but what he has done. Whence is this knocking? How is it that every noise appalls me? What hands are here? So there's knocking and everything's freaking me out right now. Every noise appalls me, and my hands, which are covered in blood, they appall me. Ha, they pluck out mine eyes. Very important for underlining here. Will all great Neptune's oceans wash this blood clean from my hand? So all of Neptune's oceans wouldn't be able to clean my hands of this blood. Now, there have been references to blood throughout the play. You'll recall the battle scenes that were very, very graphic, involving Macbeth, but at that point he was on the right side of history. He was on the side of the Scottish king and of Scotland, whereas now his hands are bloody and they will never be clean. This is an important theme that will run throughout the play and giving rise to great irony later. So this my hand will rather the multitudinous seas in Carnadine, making the green one red. My green oceans, green water would turn red with my hands. This blood will never be clean. Re-enters Lady Macbeth. Job done. And she says straight off to him, my hands are of your colour, but I shame to wear a heart so white. So my hands are completely covered in blood as well, but I would be ashamed of myself to be so cowardly, so white, so lily-livered as you. A little water clears us of this deed. There's another knock. I hear a knocking at the south entry. Retire we to our chamber. A little water clears us of this deed. How easy it is. Your constancy hath left you unattended. And another knock. So the knocking is real. There is somebody at the door trying to get in. Hark, more knocking. Get to your nightgown, lest occasion call us and show us to be watchers. Be not lost so poorly in your thoughts. So don't be so poorly lost in your thoughts. Get yourself together. Let's get our night attire on us so that in case we are arisen in the night, we will be able to stand as witnesses, like shocked at what we are seeing. Macbeth says, to know my deed, 'twere best not know myself. So he's really in this moment consumed by the regret of what he has done. The knocking continues. Wake, Duncan, with thy knocking. I would thou couldst, so I wish you could waken. And that is the end of the scene. A very powerful moment between Lady Macbeth and Macbeth. She very much in control. Vitally, he has forgotten to do the last part of the task. He's forgotten to leave the daggers. So she has had to re-enter. She's had to enter the room with the daggers and, smear the guards with their blood, with King Duncan's blood. But she's had to bear witness to the murder of the king. The theme of blood running through it. He's saying all of Neptune's oceans could not wash my hand. She's saying a little water clears us of this deed. That's very important for irony later on in the story, but also very important blood quotes running through this play. As the scene ends, the two Macbeths are going to bed. They're going to remove themselves from the murder and wait to see how the cards fall.